are you? Oh, I'm so sorry. This is the first time I've actually done this, so thank you so much for having me. And I'm here to ask all your questions and answer all your questions. And I just want to start by saying how I came up with this whole thing. And my hair was once the bane of my existence. Of most curly girls, we're not born into this world loving our hair, so we have to learn to love our hair. And since our hair is a part of nature, you have to really, really, really respect it. And the more you fight it, and the more you get frustrated with it, it's not going anywhere. So it's better for you to just allow it to be. And it's quite simple, really. So you have to start from really understanding what your hair is about, what your curl type is about. And if you can see, in the background, I have all this beautiful bamboo. But at the same time, it's each strand of bamboo, each stem, it's its own stem. So every curl on your head, even though this curl is here and curl is living here, even though it's on the same head, they both require probably two different needs. This might be a little drier on one side, the other side might be a little more oilier. The hair close to your face tends to get a little looser sometimes, or it can be tighter because it's close to our skin and it's warmer. So is everyone hearing me? It's really weird thinking that you're talking to yourself. But anyway, I've got loads and loads and loads of little tricks here I want to show you. I just want to tell you how I started the whole idea of cutting the hair dry, because we wear our hair dry, we don't wear our hair wet. So I got this haircut many, many years ago, and the hairdresser cut my hair wet, so it was like down to here. And when it dried, one side dried here and the other one dried up to here. And I said, well, why is my hair uneven? He said, well, when it's wet, it's even. So I said to him, but I don't wear it wet, I wear it dry. And that's when it hit me. It took me about 4 years to grow that particular haircut out. And with curly hair, it does take longer, and that's why one really bad haircut can really last a long time, and it's very upsetting. And I think that's why a lot of us go around and we don't really do anything, because we're afraid of not being understood. So because our hair grows circular, in a circular motion, it does take longer. And sometimes when you're tiny fractal, sometimes, you pull it out, it's this long, only to return back to this length. So it's very frustrating, but once you understand it, I promise you, you will love your hair for life. But, I can only help you so far. You're the one that gets in the shower on your own. You're the one that cleanses your own hair. You're the one that's having the relationship with it. So you've got to really understand it, and you can't get frustrated with the weather. The weather's not going to change for you. The weather, we're going to have to just, be synergetic with it and not let it bother you. So all Frizz is a curl waiting to happen, and all Frizz is a curl looking for extra moisture. So if you're, oh, my hair's frizzy, a lot of it's because it's lacking moisture. And I have, I use this. This is a pine cone. So a pine cone under a microscope, this is what our hair looks like. The follicles of the hair, it's so similar to the pine cone. So here's the pine cone when it's moist. I just put it in some water for you guys, just so you can see. They were both the same to start with, but as soon as I gave it water, the cuticles closed. So there is a big difference between really, really good hydration and hydration that is just a temporary. Like sometimes silicones, when you first try them for a curly girl, we're just like, oh my god, this is amazing, because what it does, it's like plastic, and it really, really closes the cuticles. And yeah, we love it at first, but then it starts to erode, because the plastic coating that it surrounds each tiny hair strand it starts to not allow any moisture in, and the hair needs to breathe. And then on the inside, it starts to erode and become dry and sinewy, and very, very, very sinewy. So you have to always make sure that there is no silicones, and actually you can feel a silicone. A silicone is very slick, and it doesn't leave the fingers. It stays there for a long time. It just stays on the surface. It doesn't penetrate. So a lot of people, a lot of curlies, they don't actually experience true moisture. They think they have, but they haven't, because it's not penetrating. And after a while, when you do start to experience true moisture, you stop complaining about your hair. You understand, like, oh, if I got a frizz today, then you'll just get a little bit of conditioner. You know, you can put it on dry hair too, and you're just giving your hair a drink. So think of conditioner for curls as water for the body. So conditioner is like water for the body, for hair. So, and I know a lot of people are asking, like, why is the top layer so frizzy? Why is it so frizzy? Because it's environmental. The hair is always exposed. So therefore, if it rains, whatever, electricity, whatever, this part is the part that gets it all. It's like the windshield wiper to the hair, and the front part too. You know, you open the oven, you get the blast of heat, so you open up the fridge. I mean, this part gets it all the time. So if you really look underneath, the underneath is really lovely because it has a top layer of hair protecting it, so the cuticles can't rise up for the occasion. So there's nothing you can do about that. Or what you can do though is make sure you leave more moisture on the top. So if you think about it, all these years we've been using shampoo. Shampoo is nothing but detergent, and curly hair does not need detergent at all. So think about it. We get in the shower, we've been using shampoo. Where does it go first? On the top layer. So that means the top layer gets most dehydrated. So not only is it environmental, it gets dehydrated during the laundry cycle. Soon as you stop using detergent and you start washing your hair with conditioner, and if this is the first part that gets it, then it will be very thankful to you. And then if you still feel like you get a bit of frizz, then leave more in. So curly hair is kind of hollow too. It's a hollow hair type, and what the conditioner does is fill it in. So it gives it some stability to form a beautiful, beautiful shape. So you can see its shape. So it's like a hologram turned into a three-dimensional. Am I making sense? So what else is there? I've got loads and loads of little tricks for you that I have here. So the best thing to do is get 3/4 boiled water, or clean, water, that spring water that you get from, your drinking bottle. So you get 3/4 water, and then a quarter conditioner, and then you've got yourself a nice little conditioner. And think about it, when you spray downwards to close the cuticles. So sometimes in the morning, of course, when, the top layer, you start again, because I go for this is second day hair for me. And it actually gets better over time. So sometimes, some of us are so frizzy, it's better to put it in your hands. And what I do is I graze, actually, almost like you're brushing the top layer. You graze it down so you close in the cuticles, and then you fluff it back up again. I always like to aerate from underneath too, because if we aerate from underneath, then you're kind of telling your scalp, you're reminding it that it's there, because the scalp is an unforgotten skin. So why we have dry skin, sometimes dandruff, which I don't believe it is dandruff, I think it's just sediment from shampoos on the scalp, because shampoos are salt. So after a while, when you're shampooing, the salt settles on your scalp, and then it becomes dehydrated, and then you think you have dandruff, and you don't. A lot of it is probably just from detergent. So the scalp is very important to massage, stimulate. So when you're cleansing, make sure you cleanse the scalp. But while you're cleansing, don't over knot the hair up. Try and cleanse the hair in the position in which you wear it. It's quite amazing really when you do that, because then you start to cultivate the shape of your hair, so it's not all matted up and then you have to like untangle it. So what you should do is just make sure that you use as much conditioner as you can, you know. A lot of curly girls, what you have to understand about detergent too, just do a test for me if you don't believe me on that. Get a sponge, because our hair under a microscope also looks like a sponge. It's got all these little holes in it. So you put detergent to a sponge, it multiplies. If you've noticed, put a little bit in, it multiplies. Try and rinse it under the tap, it never comes out. It's still, you can be under that tap for a while, but remember one thing is that you think you've rinsed it, and it's not rinsed. It's probably staying in the hair, and it usually takes a long time to get out, and that will continue to dry your hair out. So keep your hair as moist as possible. If you're combination skin, so if you've got some oily patches and you've got some looser curls underneath or looser curls on top, really pay attention to that and those areas, and then just with those areas you use less. So remember, your hair is like a dress, okay? We wear this dress every day of our life. We don't take it off and put it away in the closet. Some people will spend a lot of money on a pair of shoes that they wear once. They'll spend a lot of money on a bag that they'll probably wear once. But remember, your hair you wear every day of your life. So this is where you want to invest. If you do find some lovely products that are a little bit more expensive, it's worth it. You know, a lot of people go and get the cafe latte for $5 a day. You know, if you add that up, that's a really beautiful conditioner. So it's worth it, and you're worth it. So understand like where you're putting your investment with your hair. You know, I have friends who have you know, beautiful animals, and they spend $25 on a cleanser for their dog, but yet they'll spend $5 on themselves, on their own hair. So don't. You know, remember, your hair is for life, and by you having this, you know, feeling good about your hair, it's really important, and it's deeper than just superficial what we're talking about, and you know that. But it is like a small child that you're looking after on your head. So I know any beautiful women out there who have children who have really, really tight curly hair too. Sometimes it's hard for the little ones to manage their own hair, so mom has to do it for a while until they're old enough to get in the shower to look after their own hair. So are there any questions that you'd like me to answer right now? Okay, I have to get a little closer because I'm on my phone. How do you stop frizz? Okay, so remember, how do you stop frizz? Okay, it's like, again, water for the body. Conditioner is like water for the body. You stop frizz by the questions that you ask yourself and with your hair. Remember, it's really, you've got to tell the truth, because a lot of people will be, oh yes, I'm definitely curly, but then every week or so you go and blow it out. Well, that could actually cause a frizz too, because you're you know, you're stretching the hair and you're beating it down, and you're flattening it with intense heat. So that could cause frizz too. There are so many elements as why frizz is caused. So many. And our hair, like I say, it is for life. Curly hair is not a trend, it's a lifestyle. And it's not one of those you know, okay, I'm going to condition today and the frizz is going to go away forever. No. Putting conditioner in your hair is a lifetime achievement. And when it's frizzy, it's not going to bother you, because you'll know exactly what to do. So some mornings I wake up and I actually am surprised. I like parts of my hair, but I don't like all of it. So what I do is I spot cleanse it. Have you ever done that? Do you know what that is? Okay. Spot cleanse is, so for instance, this top layer gets frizzy the most. I'll take a section of it and isolate it from the rest, and I'll go under the tap, wet it, put my conditioner through, comb it through, scrunch it, and then place it back over the hair. Then I'll get my clips and I'll clip it up, just put a few clips in. And it looks really weird at first. It looks like you're wearing a little curly wet toupee on the top and the rest is dry, but just give it half an hour to an hour. I promise you, it's a beautiful way of working with your hair during the week and not overwashing it. Because if you spot cleanse, just because one part of the hair bothers you, why does the whole dress have to go in the laundry? Okay, so it's almost like me spilling something down here and, oh, it's a tiny spot, but I can just clean it. I'm not going to take the top off and wash it just because of that spot. Think of your hair as if it is a magnificent dress, and that, you know, you're taking one part in and another part in. So just remember that your hair is something you've got to explore and examine and understand and treat with respect. So many of us deface our hair, and it's so unbelievable to me what people do, but it's only because we've not been trained. And hairdressers, I'm really sorry to say, we're changing that though. We're not trained to work with curly hair. We're trained to make everything into one flat straight line, one dimension, and then when it dries it springs right back up, and we're not happy. I just want to give you a little thing. Okay, so you see this curl here? So this is what our hair looks like when it's dry. So if we cut it wet, see this? This is the same size as this. So look how, when it's cut wet and pulled down, that's how long it appears, look. Okay, so how will we ever know what our curls, you know, when they're wet, to me it's like a different language. You know, we don't wear our hair wet. So it's just more logic, and I'm not trying to call anyone out, you're doing it wrong. I'm just trying to get you to question things. You know, just, we have to understand why curls are the way they are, and your curls are different from anyone else's. We're like snowflakes. So just remember that. This one's a really good visual as to see the extremities of what lengths could be when it's wet. Also, oils. There's a big misunderstanding when it comes to oils, and I'm going to make sure I answer all your questions in a sec. I used to like the idea of oils, but lately I've been rethinking oils because I had something happen a couple of weeks ago. Actually, no, it's a couple of months ago. But I had this beautiful oil, and I put it on my skin, and then I put a jacket on. And the jacket, it was like a wool jacket, beautiful greyish wool jacket. And then all of a sudden I got the oil on the jacket. And again, wool. Fur, wool and feathers go under the same molecular structure as hair. And so this is sheepskin, this is wool. So when you put oil on it, it stains it, right? So have you ever tried to get oil out? Once you get oil on a piece of clothing or cloth, it stains it. So I have this feeling that every time we've been putting oils on our hair, I think it kind of stains the hair, and sometimes it can never come out. So over the years working with hair, I realized sometimes, like people that have been using a lot of silicones, and if you use the silicone gel and then you blow it with the heat, it will actually straighten it, especially over time. So just be mindful of not using too much oil, because oil and water, if you think about it, oil and water do not commune. So if you get the water, you know, and I put a bit of oil in it, it separates. You know, you don't really, it doesn't mix, if you can see. I don't know if you can see that. So sometimes people want to do anti-frizz, anti-humidity. We need it. We need it to breathe. You know, it can damage you when you're trying to do too many humectants. We need the moisture. So as long as you keep a load of conditioner in your hair and a beautiful gel, That's a conditioning gel. You're going to be really happy. Okay, so let me see some of the questions. So Sandy, hi Sandy. Low porosity hair care is so hard. Can you suggest DIY protein and hydrating masks? Okay, so Sandy, yes, they're hard, but the thing is our hair is full of protein, and sometimes over protein, conditioners or things that they say they're protein rich, you've got to be very careful. You've got to be careful where they're made, what their fillers are. Do you know what some beautiful, beautiful recipes? I have a new book coming out, and I know it's about silver hair, but it's got loads of recipes in it too. And, there's a lot of curly girls in it, and it's not just really about silver hair, and there's a lot of naturally straight girls in. So please, if you think I just love curly hair, I do. But I love any hair that's natural. I don't care whether it's dead straight, wavy, swavy, teeny tiny. It's natural. Whatever is given, then you should explore what you have and make the best out of it, because everybody has the potential of beautiful hair. Everybody has a potential if you look after it. I don't care whether you just have the finest baby fine gold leaf hair to the thickest, beautiful, luxurious waves. Everyone has the potential of beautiful hair. Everyone. So the protein, do you know what you might want to try? Because I have a recipe in the book, and it's rice. So I'd love you to just go on and look about rice water. Rice water is just so full of nutrients. That's a gorgeous mask, a really, really gorgeous mask. And before you ask any other questions, really please examine your day-to-day things with your hair. I mean, do you touch your hair a lot? That causes frizz. I'm totally touching it. Every time I put my hands through it, it dries it out. But if you start looking at things that you can make yourself at home, I've got loads and loads and loads of homemade recipes in here that are absolutely lovely, and they do work. They really do work. Sandy, I hope I answered your question. If I didn't, you guys, please, you can send me messages. Okay, Salma, how should we thicken our hair? I like that. How should we thicken our hair? Okay, so again, we're all like snowflakes. So thickening your hair, to me, if you do have very fine hair, and you want to thicken it up, actually over conditioning it can really, really just like make it flat and lifeless. So to thicken the hair, I've got these nice little tricks, and I'm giving you all my recipes already. My book's not out yet, but do you know when we go to the beach and we love our hair at the beach? I think it's because we have the salty ozone, goes over our hair, and then the beautiful heat, so it dries it really quickly. So what happens is, we're all trying to get all these salty, there's all these beach sprays and things like that, but they're very dehydrating. So you might get that thicker look, but in the meantime your hair's getting damaged. I have a great solution for that. Okay, saline eye drops in a spray bottle, sprayed over your hair. It can really thicken it up, but also do a disruptive scrunching, almost like you're scrunching up a piece of paper, and then you clip the scrunch while it's wet. So you spray in some of the saline eye drops. So if the saline is good enough to go into your eyes, the pH balance is good enough to go in your hair. So think about that. If anything can go in your eyes and rinse it out, then that could probably help thicken it too. But also vitamins. This is going to sound crazy, but I know you guys are all really young. But, and don't completely quote me on this, but prenatal vitamins are so chock-a-block full of the most incredible things. And I I took them, and it's unbelievable, but then it's like, why can't I take them after having children? Or why can't we just take them anyway, especially for girls? It's full of folic acid, all the things that really work. But just Google and check out what's in them. And I don't understand why we don't you know, use them all the time. Maybe you should just change the name to just Natal. So it's just something to consider, you know, just stay open to all things that we overlook. Just because we've named it one thing, we could probably use it for other things. So I don't understand why we can't use them, but that could help with a hair situation as well. You know, a lot of fish oils and things like that, edible as well. So, Sandy, it takes forever for my hair to grow longer. Any advice? Okay, Sandy, the thing is, you've got to be honest with me with what you're doing. So, you know, do you color it? Are you shampooing still? Do you brush it? Do you comb it? There's so many variables to that question. I mean, if you can just give me a tiny bit more things about your lifestyle, I can help you. Because sometimes these questions are just very quick questions without knowing the domino effect as to why we're at this situation in the first place. So if you see, my hair wouldn't grow for a while, and there's a story in my new book, and basically I wouldn't ever admit it was because I was coloring my hair. I just thought I had a shorter lifespan hair type, but it turns out it wasn't. It was because I was coloring it too much and it was chemically breaking it. I loved it at the time, but not anymore. But now I understand there's so many variables. If you want to ask me a few more, tell me a bit more about what you're doing with your hair, I can probably help you and get it right. How to recover. This is Yara. How to recover from heat damage. Yara, unfortunately, you know, a lot of these things out there that tell us that, oh, we can bond the keratin, you know, once you've dried it and you've done, you know, all those horrible things to it. You know, unfortunately, sometimes that can only go so far. But putting loads of conditioners in those areas, heat damaged areas, and babying it, really babying it, and then maybe getting a tiny trim, and then another trim and another, you know, couple of months or so. But so heat damage, just don't do it anymore. You know, try and see what your hair would look like without you doing that. And a lot of people go, oh, I just blow fry my hair on special occasions. I mean, what's so special about blow frying your hair on special occasions? You know, what's wrong with you being the only curly girl at the party? There's nothing wrong with you with that. I hear that so much. Oh, I only do it for special occasions. But you look like everybody else. No. So try and just stop the damage, and then just allow the hair to just unfurl. Because if you think about it, you know, have you ever ironed something and then you singe the fabric? You know, there's a definite mark on there. Well, that's it. It's done. That will never go away. I mean, I'm either going to throw it away or I'm not going to be able to. So think of the hair that way too. You know, really, just think about all the cause and effect, all the things that you're doing to create this. Because remember, your hair is yours. You take it with you wherever you go. And a lot of people don't always want to tell the truth as to why their hair's damaged or breaking. Just start from the beginning, and you know, your hair's going to grow. It's going to be beautiful, you know. Okay, so Sandy. Hi, Sandy. I co-wash, no silicone sulfate. Oh, conditioner is color. I color it every now and then, but so often. I did the big chop 3 years ago. My hair got to a certain length and it won't go any farther. That's interesting, because sometimes, you know what, that you may have a lifespan curl tight. Like, what is it? Really tight? I'd love to see it. Oh God, I wish I could see you guys. Because I think if it won't go any further, then maybe, because some of us, I always say curly hair is like dog's ears. You know, it's longer also than it appears to be. But the thing is, when it comes to the growth part of it, there could be so many things. Like, if you think about it, okay, say if 3 years ago, 3 years ago, I did something to my hair. So it's got to continue to grow out. until it's ready to go. So if you think about the ends of my hair, these little babies, look at them. They're probably 5 to 6 years old, these ones, or probably more. So I've worn this every day of my life for 6 years. So think about it, all the friction, movement. So now it's winter time, so I'm wearing more wool. So the hair is constantly, swishing back and forth. So it's like Velcro. So it goes back and forth, and then before you know it, it knots up. You try and get the knots out, and then they break. So there's so many variables, even the way you sleep, putting your hair up at night, putting it to bed. Do you know what a Murphy bed is? A Murphy bed is when you put it up in, away, and then you bring it out at night. So I feel that way about curly hair, so when we put our hair up at night, only this part gets the friction, but this part doesn't get ruffled or fractured. And then the next morning when you bring it down, you just cleanse it, or co-wash it, or just spritz it. So again, there's so many variables. Like, a lot of questions are not just like quick short answers. They're usually a lot longer than than one might think. Okay, so Nadia, why I can't use shampoo that is silicone in it as final wash before starting isn't the sulfates going to wash those silicones away? Oh, okay, Nadia, that's a very, very interesting question. Thank you for that one, because I do get a lot of that. So she said, okay, why can't I just use shampoo one last time to get rid of the silicones? I don't know. It's you know what? It's hard. That would be hard for me to say yes to, because you're right. We've got to get some of the things out of the hair. But you're not going to like this, what I'm going to tell you. But over the years that I've worked very closely to hair, I love being behind the chair, because I feel that's where the truffles are. And that's where I learn from my clients what they want. And what are their curly girls' wants and needs are so universal. They're so universal. Our needs, fears, wants, and desires are so universal. So I've been in the basin cleansing, because I enjoy cleansing people's hair, because then I can feel what's in it. There's a whole history in that hair. What I've come to realize, and do not hate me for this one, silicone is like plastic, and over time it builds up. I have a feeling we don't always get it out. I think sometimes we have to cut it out. It takes a long time. So I wouldn't shampoo it. I would just keep conditioning it, and maybe the moisture of the conditioner will, start to ease it out. But please don't shampoo. Please don't. To be continued anyway. Salma, how to stop hair loss? What is the best vitamin? Okay, there's a vitamin called biotin. And why do you think you're having hair loss? Like, what's going on? Have you been blow frying your hair? Just tell me a bit more about that question, because it's pretty loaded, because hair loss is really frightening. There could be so many variables. It might not just be, taking the vitamin part. Because if you are still blow frying the hair, remember, your hair is like a seam. So when you blow it, you're pulling at the seam. It's almost like, the seam of a dress. Do you know when you're wearing an ill-fitting dress? You can just see a little bit of the seam pulling apart. So, I have to say, try fish oils are always good, biotin, and really, what are you doing on the outside too? Because when you think about the hair, once it comes out of the scalp, it's already done its job, and now you've just got to look after it once it's in the world. Okay? So, Nora, Noha, I have some space in my head. How can my hair grow back? Okay, so I suspect that were you blow frying your hair? And that's probably why it got broken, probably. So what I do, if you have certain spaces in the hair, what I do is I get little bobby pins like this, tiny bobby pins. Try and get some the same color as your hair. So if you have an area that is open, So what you do is you get the bobby pin like this, okay, like it's almost like you're sewing, okay, and then you take the area, and then while it's not completely wet because it might flatten, so let it dry a little bit, let the hair plump up a little bit, and then you weave the bobby pin in, and that should hide the space, and hopefully it'll grow back. If you have follicles, if you see follicles there, that means that your hair is fine and it's going to grow back, okay? All right, so don't worry, you know, some of it's all temporary. Okay, my hair is receding and overall its growing rate is very slow. Okay, so this is Nihal. I'm sorry if I'm not pronouncing your beautiful names. Okay, so if your hairline is receding, let me ask you a question. Have you been tying your hair back really tightly? Because I've noticed, you know, if you go online, I love Naomi Campbell, but if you see some of her pictures of her hairline, because she's been pulling her hair back so much and also covering her own beautiful hair for such a long time, that her hair it's just been neglected so much, it's been undercover. So have you ever noticed grass? You know how grass is, you know, beautiful grass. So if something has been on top of the grass for a while, and then all of a sudden you move it like a few months later and the grass is yellow and it's all like, it's similar to our hair, and that's like silicones are a bit like that for us too. So if your hairline is receding, please don't rein it back so tightly. You're getting probably traction alopecia, but I think if you stop doing that, if you can, you know, be really gentle and just allow it to grow. It will grow, you know, it really will. If your follicles are still there, there's hope. If the follicles and it's like a bald man with no follicles at all, then there's something up, you know, maybe traction, maybe alopecia. Okay, Lila, how to choose a suitable product and technique for thin and curly hair. What ingredients to look for instance? Great. Yes. Well, look for, you know, definite humectants, lots of humectants. I actually wrote some things down right now because they're kind of hard to pronounce what you're looking for. So you want to look for, okay, where did I put this? I wrote it down. Well, you want to look for definitely plant-based products, things that are water soluble for sure. What product do I use on my hair? Well, this is my new product by Curly World, sorry, and it is so unbelievable, but they're not out yet, and I cannot wait for you guys to try them, and we'll do like a little curly giveaway soon when they come out, I promise you, okay? And I'll make sure I get some for you to try because you'll love them. And in answer to the question is for thin curly hair, you want things that don't overweigh down your hair. You don't want them to make your hair crispy, because a lot of gels on fine curly hair, thin curly hair, can make your hair look very puny. So if you put it, so when your hair's wet, it's thin. Then when it dries, it expands. So we want our hair to expand, but we don't want to have the frizz. We just want it to expand into its beautiful, beautiful formation. But when you've got fine curly hair, you have to be really careful not to put too much in, because then it can weigh it down and it also can punify it. So what I recommend with the spectrum of hair types, like I feel no matter whether you've got the finest hair to the thickest, tiniest fractal curls, it's all about hydration. So with the finest hair, you'll use the same conditioner, beautiful conditioner, but less of it. You know, water it down actually with spring water and make it into a milky substance so it doesn't weigh your hair down, and work with it that way. And then the spectrum, you know, depending on your curl type, you still use the same conditioner. We can use a universal conditioner without silicones, but it's all about the amounts, and it's about how much you leave in. It's really something that you've got to experiment with. But I wish I could go further into, you know, explaining, because I'd love to carry on the conversation afterwards too. You can send pictures too. Shireen, can I wash my hair with Castle soap? Bless. No. What is the best conditioner to wash your hair with? The best conditioners are, like I say, look for botanical ingredients, things that are botanically derived, you know, so they're and they're water soluble. Make sure they're water soluble. A lot of them, if you can, when you go in the store, I don't know if you can feel, if you're allowed to touch any of them, because you can feel them straight away. I feel if they blend into the skin really nicely, like a hand cream, a really nice hand cream, they should be good for the hair too. But if they leave like residues that kind of make your skin crawl, they're usually silicones and other things that you don't want. But it's really hard. And Castle soap, do not wash it with Castle soap, because it is, you know, though it might be milder than most soaps, it's still a bubble. So no, I'm going to just say no to that. Okay, Rowan, should I just go for the big chop? Could I make it work? Following your method, thank you. Oh, I'm going to say yes to that, because if you're ready for the big chop, I would love to see a picture. So send me a picture if you can. I'm going to say yes, and then start all over again. If you're open to that and you're comfortable with that, because a lot of curly girls aren't. Okay, hair from the scalp is very curly, then it goes straight at the ends. Oh, okay. So this is from Sarah, beautiful name. Are you blow frying your hair? Because to me, if you're curly at the scalp and straighter on the ends, it means either you're tying it back too much, you've put silicone gels in your hair and then blown it out. That doesn't sound good to me. But I want to know the truth. I want to know what you do on a daily basis for that to be that way. Because usually there's always an action, reaction, cause and effect to a lot of your questions. And like I say, it's not just a quick answer. A lot of it is like, well, tell me what you're doing. What do you do every day? Do you do this? Do you do that? Do you work out? Do you sweat? Do you da-da-da? You know, all those things. Okay, so we have another question here. Salma, I used to straighten my hair like all my life. My hair is thick. I'm sorry, the question's going so fast. My hair is full. Why can't I use shampoo? Shampoo and silica. Okay. How often should I wash my curly hair? Okay. Well, it depends. It depends on you. So, for instance, as you start to love your curly hair, you could go days, like depending on the weather, the humidity levels. But in the September months here, they're so beautiful, I could go every 4 or 5 days without cleansing. And then sometimes on the 4th day, I'll say to myself, you know, I'm definitely going to cleanse tomorrow. And then I'm pleasantly surprised, so I'll push it. So allow your hair to guide you. You know, you're the caretaker of your hair. You're the gardener. You're the one who is going to be the guardian of your crown and glory. So you've got to start having this relationship with it and knowing what's right and what's, you know, it's going to be with you forever. So you've got to just sink in, get to know each other, get to love each other, because you can pretend all you want, you're not. You can pretend all you want, you're not naturally curly, but it's never going to go away. And then the more you disrespect it, the worse it will be. So you decide on your cleansing. The days in between, I usually make a lavender spray. So if I work out and I've sweated a little bit, but the curls are fine, I'll get the lavender spray and go straight to the scalp. And just maybe sometimes put it on my fingertips and just cleanse the scalp, because lavender means to wash. So it's a natural cleanser actually. So lavender spray can refresh your scalp, and then you can clip it, and then you feel like you're renewed and refreshed. So sweat isn't something that needs to be washed away every time you sweat. You're supposed to sweat. We're supposed to sweat. You know, it's usually when it's stagnant and it's been for days that it's just sitting there, does it start to odor. But if you put the lavender spray in and massage and stimulate your scalp, you won't smell. I promise you. Okay. I'm heat free for almost 3 months, and I used to straighten my hair often. I started using sulfate shampoo to enliven conditioner and a lot of crunch with flaxseed gel. But the bangs, what's the rest? I can't go for the big chop. Curls will return slowly or it won't come back. If I can't go for the, oh, I see. It will come back. I promise you, your curls will come back. And don't worry about it. So don't do the big chop then. Just do a little bit at a time and get to know your hair. See these curls here? All right. Peppermint, lavender, rosemary. Which one is the DHT blocker? Oh, lavender's really, really good. Rosemary is great, but it depends on where it's derived, where your natural oils are from. And if they're full of chemicals, then you have to watch them. But most pure oils shouldn't be too bad. The peppermint is quite strong, so maybe you have to just tell me where you're getting your source from. I used to have hair the same thickness as yours, but I lost it and it's half of it now. Are you sure? What happened? You have to tell me the truth. You can't just leave me with those kind of questions. Okay, chances are, if that's what happened, have you been blow drying it for a while? And then now you're just trying to get it back? Because it will come back, I promise you. And sometimes if your hair is it could be overly saturated with silicones, because usually when the hair starts to wilt and become almost overhydrated, you can, or maybe it's too long, maybe it needs cutting. There's so many variables. Some of these questions, they've got so many layers to them. Oplex number 3. Good. Do you know what? I'm not convinced yet. Loads of hairdressers, if you're listening right now, I know you hate me, but I'm still not convinced, because sometimes when something is too good to be true, to me, I feel your lifestyle, if you're looking after your curls, and why would you need to put all that stuff in, you know? If you're putting really good gels in, why do I have to clarify it and, colonic, give it a colonic? I feel if you've got a really good healthy diet, it should be a stabilized lifestyle, program that you're on. And you'll find that the more consistent, I've always said curly hair is like an unruly child. And what does unruly children want? What do they crave? So I looked it up in the textbook and they said that they crave a consistent approach. And I feel like curly hair is, yes, it's known to be unruly, but it's only because when you're not consistent with it, you'll find that it won't be consistent back with you. And that's really, I'm telling you, it's so simple. It's so radically simple. I know we've got a lot to explain, but in order to unlearn all the things that we've been trained to do all of our lives, and then unlearn and take all the crap out, it's a mouthful at first, but then after a while it's just plain sailing. It really is. I mean, you'll be shocked at how simple this all can be, just by simply taking detergents out of your hair's diet, salts out of your diet, ripping at it with brushes, using really horrible leave-ins. I find that when I watch some of the blogs, which I love some of these gorgeous curly bloggers, but I find that they have so many products on their hair that I don't think the hair needs it. I think the curls know what to do once you hydrate it and cleanse it and put conditioners on it. I think your curls know what to do. It's just we're always trying to control nature. We're always trying to control it, but in the end, we're never going to be able to. So it's better to make friends and understand it that way. Okay, Nora, I had long hair that had reached the ends of my back till the age of 13, and now I'm 27. I chopped it. The longest grew 10 centimeters, but then these questions are coming in really fast. Then I started transitioning. I lost half of it, and I don't know what to do to biotin. Nothing happens. I'm still losing lots of it. Wow. Have you been to see a doctor about your parathyroid gland? Because sometimes that happens when a parathyroid thing is going off. But I'd like to know more. I'd like to know more what's going on in terms of health-wise. I mean, I'm not a doctor at all, but I have been in the industry a long time, and I've seen some really, really unusual situations. I mean, even just our body language with our hair. Sometimes, you know, one of my friends, this side of his hair is beautiful, but this side is all dried out and frizzy. And then one day we were, you know, we were just talking before a haircut, and I noticed that he just kept putting his hand in his hair the whole time. And I said, well, that's why your hair's frizzy. It's drying out. Every time you put your hand through, 3 hairs come through. So if you do that 20 times a day, 3 times 20, plus all the week, plus a month, and of course, yeah, his hair is thinner on one side. What I found out though, this hand doesn't reach his hair because he had a car accident, right? This, I know I shouldn't be talking, but this side of his hair is the best. Why? Because he doesn't touch it. No, it's ridiculous really, but in order, you know, these are the kind of things that watch your body language with your hair too, you know, like if you see a knot, like do you just rip it out or do you just gently pry it out? It's quite interesting really. Okay, so guys, how's it been? Can I use a few drops of castor oil with the peppermint? That went by fast. For your scalp, yes, you could. For your scalp, your skin, I'm not crazy about the oils on your, I use a demeroller. I have long hair, which I chopped it to short end. How to control frizz without using lots of products. I am with you on that. I don't like to use avalanches of products because then it's almost like you telling this like springy child to be quiet and you basically like, you know, silence of the curls. I agree with you. So to stop the frizz, maybe you just joined us, but it's really, it's all about hydration and conditioner. So wherever there's a frizz, there's a curl waiting to happen. Wherever there's a frizz, there's a curl waiting to happen. Wherever there's a frizz, there is a curl begging for more hydration from conditioner. I cannot stress that enough. Actually, that really is the end and the beginning of this whole story with curly hair. It's really, truly about hydration when it comes to frizz. I promise you that. I promise you. And some of us have to leave more in. We don't rinse it out in the shower. Some of us have to rinse more out because if it weighs your hair down, then you may have to take some out, or if the conditioner that you leave in gives you the right hydration and the right curl form without it being frizzy. There's also a really sexy frizz, you know, like so Sarah Jessica Parker, when she first started Sex in the City, she would have some little halos, and that there are some that are, you know, the hair is still healthy, but then there's a frizz of a dehydrated frizz that's different. That's like an unhealthy frizz. So most of it's about hydration, I have to say. Okay, I always get those hairs on my shoulders. I always have problems, hair loss, whenever I detangle with my fingers or a wide tooth comb. That's a good one. Yes. Okay, a lot of people complain about that when they're in the shower and they're cleansing with their fingers, it's better to do your fingers because, do you know why? Because you're having a relationship with your hair. Because when you do a brush, you tend to be a little, you know, because the brush is an attachment, you're not touching your hair, so you can be a little harsher on your hair. Your fingers are an extension of you. So when you're using your fingers, when you're cleansing, you're having more of a relationship with your hair when you're in the shower. So when at the end, this is what I do, and it's going to sound strange, but I save my hair after each cleanse. I roll it up and I compare it. So there was a while where I was a little worried. So if I go 3 days without a cleanse, the hair builds up inside. So curly hair, sometimes we don't lose it as much. It kind of gets wrapped in the web of our curls. So then on the days that we cleanse, they all come out. So we think we're losing a lot of hair when we're not. It's probably just natural hair loss. I call it watershed. So basically, if I've gone longer, if I've gone 5 days without cleansing, but it's been perfect weather and I've been at the beach or something, I find though, when I look at it, there's a lot. If I've cleansed every 2 days, it's a tiny bit. So if you worry, it might sound crazy, but it's not really. But this is where you can measure how much hair you lose. And remember, we do lose. Our hair used to be in the brushes, remember? So all that hair in the brush used to be all the hair that we lose. So now we're not brushing, it gets locked inside the hair. And then when we cleanse, we're cleaning it out. So that's when you see it. So don't worry so much about that. But it is part of the course and understanding your hair. But I've been saving mine for years and years and years because I'm always experimenting. I don't know if you can see this little thing here. These are all my hair samples of hair that I've saved. And it's been amazing. I'll show you my favorite little box. This is my fractal box of curls. You can see they're all in perfect condition, and some of them are as tiny, you see, as a pin head, or as tiny as maybe the tip of the pen, and some of them are a little bit bigger. They're all in perfect condition, by the way, because they've not been shampooed. And you can tell, these are the ends, look how shiny. So regardless whether they're this tiny or really big, they all require the same thing, which is hydration and conditioner. So when in doubt, if you can't find a really beautiful, sham-free cleanser, that's the name of my new cleanser, sham-free. And sham, you know what a sham is, right? A sham is when something is not true, and my products are called sham-free. So basically, just if you can't find a sulfate-free cleanser yet, just conditioner. For the first 15 years as a hairdresser, I wasn't using detergent, so I haven't used detergent in a long time. And I secretly use conditioner, but I was afraid to tell anybody that. And it turns out that I used conditioner for everything at the time. Before anything happened, I used conditioner as my cleanser, my conditioner, and my leave-in. So when you're in doubt, you can't ever go wrong with a conditioner. And again, if you've got finer hair, you just water it down and make it milky. I just have a quick, for your hair, tying your hair up at night. This one's hard to explain, but you see these old tights, old pair of tights. So what I do is I go to the ends of the legs. I'm just trying to give you some quick tips. Okay, so this is what I use to put my hair up at night. So it's recycled tights. They're great. You don't need to spend any money on. And if you go to the top part of the tights, you can just take that top part, put it in your hair. So when your hair's wet, if you just put it in your hair wet and just tie it back like that, so the wet hair's not in your face. If you've got wet in your face, you're touching it all the time, and therefore it starts to frizz. So if you find ways to even just get it off your face while it's drying, it'll give you a little bit of a ridge here, and it'll give you some lift. So, all right, anything else? Any questions? I'm sorry. I'm rambling on. I'm trying to give you as much information as I can. Nancy, how do I figure out to balance between moisture and protein? Yeah, what is this protein thing? Because your hair is protein. I don't understand that, because our hair knows what to do. And the balance for me is just keeping it hydrated. I know I'm overstating this, but I'm not sure that you need it. Again, if you get your watered down conditioner, use it. Keep your hair hydrated like a plant. Plants just need water to grow. Your hair is like a plant. Yeah, I think try and stay away from over proteins unless you're making it yourself, like, rice waters and things like that. Eat a lot of lentils. Salima, yes, doc said everything is good. Just keep on taking the vitamins. I am so sad. And I've lost lots and I don't know what I should do. Wow. Salima, how old are you? Have you had children recently? Because sometimes, you know, if you've had a couple of kids all at once, too, like over the last maybe you've had 2 children in 3 years. But I'd like to know a bit more. If you could, you know, let me know. You could Facebook message me and stuff like that, and you can send me a picture, and then I can. Is ALS bad for the hair? I'm not sure of the acronym. If you could just tell me what that is. Oh, Salima, no, I'm 20. Okay, so you're young. So the doctor said everything's fine. All right, so you're gonna have to send me some pics, because when I can see it, then I can get an idea. Yeah, because sometimes, you know, hair is so visual, and to talk about hair is sometimes, and sometimes we have hair dysmorphia. Sometimes, you know, I'll have, you know, the other day, when it got really cold all of a sudden, I was like, oh, wow, my hair's gone straight. But of course, it, you know, it's just all, it's all relative, I suppose. Okay, so you're only 20 years old. I see. All right, can you, any more questions, anybody? I just want to show you why how our hair grows out of our scalp. So, Rowan, and oh, ammonium's, yes, ammonium is not good. No, don't use it. I used to relax my hair with permanence and straighten it. Now I've been trying to restore my curls for 2 years now. Did a big chop, planning another one. My inner curls are back, but the outer curls, okay. So they've just got to continue to grow. Tips for veils, ladies, especially for the frizz. Thank you. This is from Miss Rushwan. Allah Rushwan. Okay. Well, this means a lot to me, this question, because I want to address that. In fact, I did address it in, I wanted to address it in my Curly Girl book. For some reason, they weren't quite ready for that. And I thought, well, we should be. Okay, because my new salon, when I open it, is coming in the spring. I will have a whole section dedicated to that. I mean, I would probably, you know, the salon will be strictly women, and I want to address women in the veiled women, as you call them. So I think actually your veil is perfect frizz defrizzer, actually, because, okay, this is one thing that I don't know you at the beginning. Why do we not have frizz underneath our hair? Is because the top layer is laying over it, so the frizz, the cuticles, can't rise. And if you're just joining us, these are the cuticles, right? This is when your hair is hydrated. That's what a cuticle looks like, a healthy cuticle. So this is how I do it anyway when I wear a hat or something too, is your hair's cleansed, hopefully your hair's not too wet when you put the veil on. So what I do is I get gel on the clips, put the gel on the clip, clip the roots first, and then lightly put the veil on. So while you have the opposing weight of the fabric, you're still lifted at the roots. So you can actually do a whole structure underneath too. So then you've got very light veil. But what's so great about having the veil is that it's acting like a layer of hair from underneath, because the frizz has nowhere to rise. It's actually perfect. Because then when you take it off, yes, it may be a bit flat because it's been flattened, but then what you do is you get a bit of water on your fingers, fluff internally, always fluff from the inside, not from the outside because you don't want to ruin the top layer. You know, give it a little spritz and let your little plant come to life. So, so I should send you a picture. Yeah, send me a picture, Salma, yeah, and I can help you and we can carry on the conversation. Okay, so this is the way I describe the way our hair grows out of the scalp. So you think about it, our hair doesn't grow out in a straight line. It goes in this motion, okay? So as our hair continues to grow, it grows around. So a lot of people can start to get really frustrated with their hair when it's on a growth spurt that is not a full circle. But if you continue to go around, don't be quick to get a haircut. Sometimes it's just finding itself in the coil. So don't be quick to snip. You know, if it's bothering you, let it, you know, don't go and get a haircut immediately. Let it sit for a while for it, because our hair can settle really quickly. Okay, make sure you have a really sharp pair of scissors if you're trimming it. If you're doing a little trim yourself, make sure, just oxygenating, make sure your scissors are really, really, really good. I'm ready for a trim. Look, I've got some bits and pieces. I'll trim later. Anyway, no, you're beautiful. Any tips? Oh, I didn't get that one. Any tips for split ends? Well, split ends are split ends. What you could do is, you know, when you see them, you can just kind of go over them with some conditioner once they're dried. I've been touching my hair a lot, but the best thing to do is oxygenate, like just trim them, just like go to the ends of each strand, just snip the tiniest bit and oxygenate. So if you think about it, when we have a plant, and they always tell us when it starts to wilt, if you just clip the bottom of a flower, it allows more water to come in. Our hair under a microscope looks like a plant stem, and then when you cut it, there's 3 cylindrical cylinders, so it's all gnarly at the ends, and then if you cut it tiny bit, it opens it up a little bit, and naturally anything that's exposed, oxygen goes in, so it enlivens the hair. It doesn't have to be great big chops, it could just be literally dusting the ends of the hair. Yeah, because like for curly hair, a tiny bit like that is like an inch for other hair types. So we always handle our hair with caution. Miriam, can you please re-explain a part of the gel again, because I don't understand it well. Can you please re-explain the part of the gel again, which I don't understand well? Oh yeah, so you were asking, you said that you've got really fine hair, so the gel can make it crispy. Okay, so when our hair's wet, it's puny, right? It looks, you know, my hair wet, my hair dry is like a transformer. If you saw me wet, you would think I had just like a wavy hair. I mean, it's amazing that it dries the way it does. So if you've got really, really baby fine hair and you put the gel in too soon when your hair's really wet, it will capture the hair wet. So when it dries like a wet, you know, crystallized wet, you know, so it doesn't expand to its fullness because you're trying to make it look full. What I suggest is when you get out of the shower is you towel dry gently, get rid of all the water. And this is the part, I call it the disruptive, it's like a new disruptive way of drying the hair, which I have in my new book, and it's for very fine hair types. So in a way, I want your cuticles to rise actually a little bit. So you don't put any gel on it at first. Allow your hair to expand a bit. Does this make sense? You allow your hair to, so it fills out a little bit, but the hair's still damp, and that's when you put your gel on. I suggest that you probably water your gel down a little bit, so it's a little bit more watery. So watery, when it's watery, it swims into the hair. It goes deeper. Sometimes when they're too thick, sometimes they'll just sit on the surface, but they have to be squeezed in all the way. So allow your hair to almost expand to a point where you think it's going to frizz, and then capture it, and then you should get fuller curls. I promise you. You know, just experiment. You can have beautiful hair. Okay, Yara. Hi. First of all, I'm a huge fan. Thank you. Okay, what are you saying? Problem in my crown area. The hair texture is different from the rest of my hair. It's coarser. Okay. Yeah, the crown area is always the hardest because, again, it's the one exposed to the environment. It gets everything. It gets the sun, it gets the heat, it gets the intense cold. This is the one that works the hardest. And this is the area that we used to put shampoo in the first place too. So that poor area really, really has been overlooked. All I can suggest, curly, coarser hair, you've got to overdose on conditioner. Even if it's just in that one area, just keep it hydrated for life. You know, again, it's not a one-stop shop and then, oh, we do it one time and we're great. It's a continuation of keeping your hair hydrated, and the more consistent you are with it, the more consistent it's going to be back with you. I promise you that. I really do. And thank you. Oh, I just got it. Thank you. You're welcome, Miriam. All right. Anything else? I could go on. All right. It's been a pleasure talking to you. I hope we should do it again. And I think you can ask me more questions afterwards. Is that right? Thank you for choosing me to be with you on a Sunday evening. It's been snowing here. Did you know that? Okay, have I got any other tricks that I want to share with you guys? Sometimes when we're in the bathroom, you should get a little mirror because we don't always see the side of our hair and some of the crown areas that we talked about. Find out where your little spots are, because what I've noticed over the years, a lot of women, when we cleanse our hair and our hair's down and we go up, we bring our head up, we have a huge parting down the back. You know, when I'm on the bus or I'm talking, you know, I see people, I'm like, oh, they obviously scrunch their hair down, but they didn't think about the back. So just get yourself a little side mirror and just make sure you know the area in the crown area where to clip to get like no gaps, you know, because a lot of us, we have like little gaps in those areas. So just little things like that. So Perio, what's the super soaker method? By the way, I have major curl envy. Okay, what's the best way to grow your hair? Just grow it. That's Yasmin. And oh, the super soaker. Well, the super soaker, I feel, is the sham-free cleanser. It's like a pre-cleanse, and you put it on your hair. Actually, really, you put it on your hair dry. So if anybody has hair that is water repellent, because sometimes when you have fractal hair types, like really, really tight, like the ones I was telling you, you can't, you know, it's so vast, so vast, should I say, because of the tiny, unmeasurable fractals, and there's so many, sometimes water just slides off them. So to do a super soaker, put it on the hair dry before you get in the shower and just let it soak. And I guarantee, as soon as the water hits your hair, that pushes it in, so it gets the hair wetter faster. Because sometimes when we're so coarse, the water doesn't always take in the water. And by the way, if anyone's using silicones, that will also stop the hair from getting wetter faster too. There's one thing about not using shampoo as well. Environmentally, it's so much better for the environment because we're using, I did a whole study on this, you use a third almost of the water. So when you're using shampoo, you have to use a lot to keep rinsing. So that's gallons of water wasted. When you stop using detergents, you're using less water too, as well. So the pre-soaker is putting the cleanser, the shampoo cleanser on your hair while it is dry before you go in. So you get some, you put it on the top layer, go into the shower. I promise you, your hair gets wetter really quickly, and therefore it allows more hydration in when you start the proper cleansing and conditioning routine. I promise you. I'm going to come and visit you guys anyway. Sarah, is it okay not to put any products in my hair after shampoo? Yes, well, stop the shampoo, but if you're asking, is it okay? And you've obviously tried it, and if your hair looks great, then yeah. If anything, I would always leave a little residue of conditioner in your hair. It would almost like, you know, be like you being hyperhydrated. It's like saying, do I not have to drink water again, you know? On that note, remember though, sometimes we're moving around a lot all day long and our hair tends to be more of a Velcro hair type. I've got these little things. So as we move around, our hair naturally knots. So we'll never get away from not knotting unless we cut our hair above our shoulders. But it may still knot. So you'll always have knots, you know, but you don't have to let them build up. You can actually isolate them on daily basis with your conditioner and pry them open. You don't have to wait until it gets so knotted that there's too many knots. So, is it okay? Yes. So I guess I just got my hair trimmed, got rid of the split ends, and I used heat once. I can see the split ends again. Is there any else to mend the stop split end except trimming my hair? Why are they trimming in the first place, Sarah? Why are they splitting in the first place, should I say? Yeah, so we have to, I want to know what your routine is. Okay, what is my hair routine? Mine is so simple. Is it really effective to leave in a deep treatment overnight? You can't go wrong with it, Marwa. You can't go wrong. I love that your last name has hair in it. It is really effective. Yes, you can't go wrong. You know, conditioner in overnight is fine. I've been pleasantly surprised. I've done that once and I woke up the next day and I kind of liked it. So I just basically just put water to it and left it in for the rest of the day. My hair routine, I promise you, I practice what I preach. I'm so ridiculously simple. So I like to push the envelope. I like to see how long I can go without cleansing. So I put my hair up every night. I'm going to show you. I look really funny. Do not take any pictures of this. So I just put my hair up like this at night. So when I sleep on it, this part just gets, you know, a little ravaged, but this part is fine. So literally when I take it down, you know, it pretty much looks like this, and don't hate me. So then what I do is I check, you know, I go around, look at the landscape, and I like to see, you know, because some of us have tighter curls here, tighter at the bottom. So then I might spot wash it if I don't like it. And depending on the weather and, you know, how active I've been all week. I do a lot of hot yoga. And, you know, it's kind of sweaty and whatnot, but I usually keep my hair up and then I bring it back down and the water just revives it because I've got a lot of conditioner left in. So then when I do cleanse, so what I do is I use a shampoo-free, squeeze it in, really, really give a nice scalp massage because your scalp needs to be addressed. It's a forgotten skin. Would you put shampoo on your face? Probably not. So why are we putting it on our scalp? So, you know, just make sure you stimulate your scalp. When you rinse out, remember everything you rinse from your scalp has to exit through the ends of your hair. So I do that, and then I get my conditioner, which is called Terms and Conditions, and I'll just put it on. Actually, I start with the top layer because that's where it needs it first, and I'll get a little bit more, just prayer hands through the ends, scrunch it upwards, soak it in, and then I start to detangle and organize the curls in the position in which you wear them. And then sometimes I'll do a trickle rinse, so I'll just splash water back and then leave all the conditioner in. I like to do that, and then I use my leave-in lover. And you're getting all the secrets, nobody knows any of this yet. So my gel is called leave-in lover. If it's living in your hair, it's got to love your hair. So your gel is a very important product because it lives in your hair for 24 to 48 hours. So it better love your hair. If it's living in there, it better love your hair. So love me and leave me in. So actually during the process while the gel's in your hair, it should be protecting your hair too, you know, environmentally, because your hair's a little ecosystem. So that's really all I do. And then I let it dry a little bit first before I clip it, because I find when you put your hair clips in too soon, they start to weigh down the hair. You know, it can weigh down on the scalp. So remember, when you put the clips in, they go right through the scalp. So if you think there's your skin on your scalp, you've got to get right to the tip, so then it can just lift, and then it allows your hair to dry a little bit more weightless. So the clips are for, you know, because our hair's weight bearing when it's wet. So putting clips in leaves a little aeration in the hair, so it allows, in the head, so it allows it to dry a little faster. But I've got a lot of new things coming your way. It's going to make your life easier, I promise you, because I want it. I want to create things that are really simple, because again, you know, your hair is going to be with you wherever you go. You're going to take it with you. And it's got to be simple, and it's got to be no fuss. You know, I take tiny little bottles with me like this. I just call them hydration bottles. And, you know, you could be working during the day and you're going out that evening. You could just go in the bathroom and spritz. And actually, I've got a really, I like to, this one, I don't know what happened last night. But say if I want, you know, it's fractured. You see it got fractured? So I'll take that, spritz it a little bit, tiny, you don't need to do it much. Wrap around your finger, slide off, and then you clip. And then you've got a new curl. So for those that are still growing out your straighteners, so your half curl, you have, you know, this trick, so you can use 1 finger, 2 fingers, depending on the size of your curls. Spritz it. You don't need to spritz it much, just enough to open up the cuticle a little bit, and then you zap it around your finger, clip it, leave it, and it'll be lovely. And you've not put any heat to it. It's great. You know, you can have a lot of fun with those. And sometimes, you know, if you're a looser curl and you want a tighter curl, you could just use your little finger and have like little tight curls for it. And all right, Sarah, every time I put my hair in a ponytail before I go to sleep, when I wake up and remove my hairband, my curls stay up and the ends up being undefined. Okay, so is your hair still pretty short? That could happen sometimes. What happens, my sides get a little looser, straighter, so I end up like wetting them a bit more. Yeah, sometimes if it's really humid, if it starts to rain in the middle of the night, the hair that's outside, it naturally, you know, it's all environmental. Our hair is completely, it's a natural weather barometer. So, you know, if it does do that, then adjust it in the morning. You know, it just is what it is. You're going to go to sleep or don't go to sleep. Just sit up and so what you should do is, yeah, it'll stand up, but it'll naturally settle. So a little bit of the watered down conditioner, either spritzed. I find sometimes when you spritz, it confuses the cuticle, and the cuticle can open up too much. So if you're really, really frizzy, dry hair, it's better for us to then put it on our hands first, and then, you know, put it in the cuticle so it kind of closes the cuticle more. So you go from, you know, a frizzy to more of a moist cuticle. I've had so much fun. Can I sleep with my hair? Yes, of course you can. Sometimes I call it sleep like a geisha. Actually, let me get this curl out. The only thing with clips, bobby pins are actually better. But, you know, you don't want to ravage the hair when you take them out. Yeah, so what you do is you just, you know, you can get those lovely pillows. They're like silk, they're just round, and you can put your hair over it, so you just splay the hair over your head. I usually find if I'm going to leave my hair untied at night, which I do sometimes, I put something under my knees so I stay ergonomically in this position. So you like that, and therefore you won't be moving around as much. You're in a really lovely position, and that's how the Japanese used to sleep all the time, with those blocks right underneath their head. It's really amazing that that's how they slept at night. It's amazing, but it is actually quite comfortable. All right, so I'm gonna have to go soon. So thank you so much for your kindness, Lorraine. Thank you. It was such a pleasure, and we'll stay in touch, yeah? Leaving in oil of any effects. Anyway, how to color my hair without losing curls. Color shouldn't take your curls away. Thank you for your help. Okay, girls, much love. Bye.